Hello and welcome to Squash That Series for all who celebrate. I hope you had a fabulous time. By the time you see this, the readathon will be over, but I'm going to be vlogging my experience of reading through some series. Reading through series is a project I've been working on, so I had a few to choose from, but not a ton, which is good because this is a week-long readathon. If you don't know what Squash That Series is, it's a readathon that kind of changes the game every time that it's hosted by Bailey at Is Bailey Reading. This time, Lizzie at Lizzie's Literary Life and Danielle at Danielle Reads are helping Bailey out and hosting a little mini readathon for her. And they came up with such a fun little theme. The theme is spring cleaning. So thinking of spring cleaning your house, they thought of the different rooms in your house and different prompts that would help you pick series to read based off of what you would do to clean in that part of the house. So I have a focus of 2 series. This is the Duval series. So the first book that was written is the House of the Spirits by Isabel Allende. This is one that I'm currently reading, Daughter of Fortune. This is technically the first book in the series, but the last one she wrote, because she started with House of the Spirits, and then she wrote backwards. So I decided to jump all the way back to like the oldest, which is technically now the first in the series. And then I've read House of the Spirits, so I'll need to read the middle one next to finish it off. So reading it in a weird order, but it doesn't really matter. So this is going to help me because I'm sticking mostly to the closet prompts. So reading books that I own. It's the goal for me this year to read books I own. So it was easy to focus on that. My focus was to read this one and this one, Storm Sister. I picked this one because I needed to randomize my series, and this is the series that came up. So I'm going to be reading this one. However, we're a couple days in because I had a very busy weekend, didn't have time to record. So this started on Saturday and it is now Monday afternoon. And as you've seen, I've been making progress in this. I actually started and DNF'd this. This is the second book in the Seven Sisters series by Lucinda Riley. I read the first book back in November of 2024, and it was just okay. I found this at really cheap at a thrift store, like $1 or less, maybe 50 cents. And so I picked this up because I was interested in trying the next one, and this one just, I could tell from like 25 pages in that the things I had an issue with were going to be an issue just with the writing. It just wasn't working for me. So I decided to DNF this, which means I'm DNFing a series. And while it's sad that this series didn't live up to the hype, it's an 8-book series, and most of the rest of the books are 400, 500 pages or longer. So being done with this one, while sad, feels good to kind of go, okay, I've made a decision about this series and I'm leaving it behind. So while this didn't work, that's okay. What I did pick up instead was Beast by Matt Wesolowski, and this is going a lot better. So I read the first book in this series a long time ago, back when it first came out, maybe sometime like 2016, 2017, I think. And I picked up the second one after that, like a few years later, a couple years later, I picked up the third one. This is the 4th one. And all of the books in this stories follow the 6 Stories podcast. So this is written like in podcast form. And each book kind of follows some sort of like urban legend kind of thing. And it's kind of horror mystery mixed together, and I really enjoy them. They read super quickly because they are written like a podcast. It feels, as I'm reading it, it feels like I'm listening to it, if that makes sense. And this one has been really good. It's all about this like video social media dare challenge that goes terribly wrong. And I'm really enjoying it. I'm like maybe a third of the way through, a fourth of the way through, and it's going really quickly. I've only sat down with this a couple times, and I'm really enjoying it. I actually, when I started this one, I was like, I just need to order the last 2 in this series, so those will be being added to my shelves because I just love this author's writing so much, and I'm so excited to see what he's going to do next. And then this one, I'm about 100 pages in, and I'm really enjoying it. It's reading quite slow, but I really enjoy Isabel Allende's writing. I think it's very beautiful. I like that she talks about a time period and a place. She writes about Chile in this series. It's in the 1840s, 1850s, and it's really cool just to read about a place I don't know a lot about. And I think she's a really talented writer. You just know her characters so well, and I'm really enjoying it so far. But it is a slow read, so I'm not sure if I'll finish it this week, but I'm really going to try to. So these are kind of my goal for the rest of the week, and we'll see if I can make it happen. I'm also picking up some graphic novels here and there, but I'm not really counting that for a Squash That series because graphic novel series, I tend to not have too much of trouble picking them up and finishing them. I feel like I have a lot more momentum with them, so not too worried about those, but that's kind of my plans for the week. Hello, I am back with an update. We are at Wednesday. So this is Wednesday night. I'm just about to settle in for a little more reading, but I have an update on my books. I finished Beast this morning, and I really enjoyed this. This had a really strong ending. I think it had maybe one of the slower starts to these books that I've seen, but I really liked the ending. I feel like there was so much to chew on because this book was focused on like how social media can give someone a persona, and it can be hard to figure out who that person really is, and not even just through social media, but even just the way that people act around other people. You may act one way with your parents, one way with your friends, one way with your siblings, and who's to say who the real you is? And so this is just a really interesting study about figuring out like who are the people that we're talking about, and these different people, and especially our main character Elizabeth, who this book story is all about. The mystery is about Elizabeth and what happened to her, and I just really liked it. I wish people would read the 6-story series. It's definitely one you want to read in order because there is a sort of through line with the podcast. And the like creator of the podcast, Scott King is his name, and so you definitely want to read them in line because like this talks a lot about what happened in the previous one, and that was also interesting because it talked about how the creator, Scott King, of this podcast is a little bit more public now than he used to be. He used to kind of like hide his person, and now he's a little more open, and it talked a little bit about that, and I just really liked it. I think that there are so many books that really miss social media and don't get it, and this book was not saying that social media was bad. I think that it was focusing on the negatives, I will say that, but it wasn't just saying social media itself is bad, you know, being an influencer is bad. It was saying, here are some bad things about it, and here's why they're bad. But it's not kind of throwing away the baby with the bathwater. It's trying to dissect a very complex topic and also kind of throw in like a word of warning about like, you know, letting things go too far or believing in someone's personality when maybe they're not that way at all in real life and things like that. So I just really enjoyed this story, and they're short, they're written in podcast form, so I think they have a really fun feel to them, and I just really enjoy them. I actually, when I started this one, I got like 2 pages in, and I stopped and I ordered the final 2 books in the series because I was like, I want them now, not later. I want to be able to reach for them when I want to so I can finish this series off. And then I saw that he actually wrote something recently that's like out of the series because after the 6th book in the 6 stories series, it's over, and so he wrote something new, which is so fun. And I just wish that my library would buy them because I really want to get a hold of his books more easily. But I guess I can buy them. So, I finished this one, and I am 160 pages in. I have 240 left in Daughter of Fortune. I can hold up the dust jacket here. I'm liking this one, but it is slow. It's feeling very meandering. I don't feel a lot of urgency with the plot. And so I'm hoping it kind of picks up, because there is a part of me that's like, oh, I kind of want to DNF it, but I also kind of want to read it. So I think it's just hard trying to read it in like a fast time period, like a readathon. It's really hard. So I'm just trying to like slow down a little bit, but I would kind of like to finish it by the end of Friday, which is probably not going to happen, but it would be cool if it did. I just don't have this on audiobook, so I can't access it that way, which makes it hard because I just don't have that much physical reading time right now. So that's what I'm reading. I'll probably try to update you tomorrow if I make any amazing progress, but this is going to be my focus until the end of the readathon. Hello. You get me in my pajamas for the final update because I feel like the only time I feel like I have the energy to film right now is when I'm like showered and getting settled in for the evening, and then I'm like, okay, I'll film real quick. So, pajama update for our final Smash That Series update. This is a very successful week readathon for me. I was able to make a decision on a series I thought I might DNF, continue in one of my favorite and one of my oldest running series, and then also DNF this book. Now, I had mentioned before this is part of a trilogy. I got to the 50% mark this morning, and I just decided that I didn't love it. It was interesting because I was like reading this, and everything that had happened, or that like is explained in here, I hadn't gotten to everything in this by the 50% mark. So I was like, this book feels bloated because we're spending so much time circling around our actual story that we're supposed to be focused on. And so I spent like 40 pages on a side character who's part of the story, but we don't know how he fits in super well yet. And so it just was feeling very difficult to feel connected to the story, because the story that we were given had not even, it had sort of started by this point, but we hadn't even gotten to the meat, the exciting part of the description. So while this is beautifully written, I think Isabel Allende is one of my favorite writers of all time. She reminds me of like John Steinbeck. Like when I'm reading, I'm just enjoying the words so much. And I think the story itself, the very skeleton of the story, worked for me. I think it was just too tangential. Like the story would shoot off and circle back and go back in time and then go forward. And it was just kind of all over the place. I think an editor needed to take some time to like streamline it a little bit for it to work for me. So, as a little bonus before I leave, I wanted to look at the final book in this Delval family series. This is the technically second book because this is the first book, with House of Spirits being the final book. But I read House of Spirits first because that was written first. Then I went back to the first book in the series that was written last. This had nothing hardly to do with the Delval family at the point that I had gotten to. They were mentioned like twice and really had nothing to do with our main character. I'm sure it ties together at the end, but I didn't really feel like it was super connected. So I want to read, maybe just figure out what this is about and see if I am interested in giving this series another shot, or if I'm going to pass this along and kind of put a close to that series for good. So I'm going to read the description, see if I can make a call based on that. Okay, so correction, this actually was written after Daughter of Fortune. For some reason, I thought it was written before. I am going to pass on this one because it seems like it is somewhat connected to things that happen in Daughter of Fortune. And since I'm not interested in reading that, I don't think I want to read this. I will say something that I think was missing a lot for me in the Daughter of Fortune book was the magical realism that House of Spirits has, as well as the sort of cultural significance. I felt like Daughter of Fortune felt like Isabel Allende had researched a lot of things and was like telling me about all the things that she had researched. I didn't feel like the story was part of history per se. I didn't feel that way. Whereas House of the Spirits is about like the fall of a way of life in Chile and a family that's sort of split between father and daughter because the father doesn't understand why his daughter is willing to give up this way of life, and it's this divide in the family while Chile is having this huge revolution and this upheaval. It kind of reminded me of like that feeling in Downton Abbey, if you've seen that show, where it's this whole way of life that's changing. The upstairs and downstairs are starting to mix, and it's everyone trying to figure out like, where do we go in life? And you have the older people that are clinging to what they're used to because they've known that their entire life, and the young people going, well, okay, I kind of see the benefits of moving on, and I'm younger and can kind of wrap my head around it easier, so I'm willing to change. And I love that about House of Spirits, and I felt like Daughter of Fortune was just like, let me tell you about things that I've learned about like China, because there's a character from China in there, so it felt like, let me tell you all these things that I researched about China. It didn't feel like we were actually tackling something cultural and revolutionary and interesting that were like affecting the characters. It just didn't have that momentum behind it that was so fascinating in House of Spirits. So I definitely will continue to read Isabel Allende. I just think I'm done with this series because it's hard to not compare these books to House of Spirits, which I loved, and these which I'm not loving as much. So I think I'm going to check off that series as being finished. So that would be 2 series that I've completed this round, and then 1 that I've made progress in. And we are really like narrowing down my focus on series. I love Squash That Series. You should definitely participate anytime that you see it pop up. It kind of happens intermittently. You can subscribe to Bailey at Is Bailey Reading to get all the updates when things happen on her channel. And there's like a whole Discord for Squash That Series and stuff you can be a part of. So it's just a really fun time, and I have done so much series reading during the few Squash That series that I've been a part of, and it's really motivated me to like read down my series. I'm very close to being at like 0 series. I'm definitely under 10. I might be under 5 at this point, or at least very close to it. So I've just been having a great time with it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider liking it and subscribing and checking out some of my other fun readathon vlogs. And there's going to be a ton of fun stuff coming up in the following months, and I hope that you'll stick around. Thanks for watching. Bye.